I died, not in body, but in spirit. I walked the earth with breath in my lungs and emptiness in my soul. My dreams faded like morning dew under the sun. My mind, once sharp and full of promise, became dull, wandering lost in illusions I dared not name. I was alive, yet dead. My laughter was hollow. My eyes saw light, but not life. Something sacred inside me had collapsed. The man I was meant to be, bold, creative, full of divine fire, was buried under layers of guilt and silence. It began subtly. Curiosity, they call it, a whisper saying, "No one will know." A click here, a glance there, until what once shocked me became routine. Each time I felt a sting in my conscience, but I silenced it with excuses. Just once more, I told myself. And each once more built a wall between me and God, between me and purpose. Sin is not always loud. Sometimes it hides behind screens and smiles. I smiled in public and wept in private. I raised my hands in worship while my heart was chained in shame. Every sermon on purity felt like a dagger, not because the preacher condemned me, but because my own conscience screamed louder than any voice in the room. I knew what I was doing was wrong, yet I couldn't stop. My will was like a broken wheel, turning in circles, never moving forward. I prayed, but my prayers felt empty. I sang, but my worship felt mechanical. I studied, but my memory failed. I felt dumb in my own mind, as though something was draining my intelligence, my confidence, my peace. My academics suffered, my focus scattered, and my confidence crumbled. I couldn't look people in the eye for long. Fear lived in my chest like an uninvited tenant. Each night I told myself, this will be the last time. Each morning I woke up feeling smaller, weaker, more distant from who I used to be. The worst prisons have no bars, just habits that hold you tighter each day. Pornography and masturbation were not just actions, they were altars. I offered my time, my energy, my peace, and my destiny to them. They took and took and took again. My creativity was gone. My confidence vanished. I was a lion that had lost its roar. I felt like Samson, mighty once, now grinding in the enemy's prison. I could quote scriptures, but not live them. I could encourage others, but not help myself. My secret life became my silent executioner. The very thing I thought gave me pleasure was slowly draining the life out of me. Romans 7:19 became my reality. For I do not do the good I want, but the evil I do not want is what I keep on doing. And so I died, again and again, each time a little deeper. I reached a point where I couldn't pretend anymore. My spiritual strength was gone, my mind clouded, my heart heavy. I knew that if I didn't find freedom, I would lose myself completely. I started to pray, not the polished prayers of routine, but the broken cries of a man drowning. God, I'm tired. I can't keep doing this. Fasting seemed like the only weapon left. I had fasted before, 21 days of seeking freedom. It felt promising at first, but soon the old patterns returned. I cried harder. Why do I always come back here? It was then the Holy Spirit whispered, go deeper. I embarked on a 100-day fast, not to prove holiness, but to survive. I needed God more than air. Day after day, I wept, worshiped, and waited. I read Psalms until the words soaked through my bones. Psalm 51 became my daily song. Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me. Some days I felt strength. Other days I felt nothing but silence. But even in the silence, I kept going. Somewhere between hunger and surrender, something shifted. I can't say which day it was, maybe day 50, maybe day 70, but suddenly I felt a breaking within me, not of weakness, but of chains. For the first time in years, I sensed peace in my mind. The noise, the cravings, the guilt, they didn't disappear overnight, but they lost their authority. I realized addiction wasn't just a physical urge, it was a spiritual war. In that quiet place, I met grace. Not the kind that excuses sin, but the kind that heals it. Grace that doesn't just forgive, it transforms. The Holy Spirit became more real to me than my own thoughts. He taught me to guard my eyes, renew my mind, and rebuild my temple. Slowly, the fog lifted. I began to dream again, to think clearly, to love deeply. One night during the fast, I woke up before dawn, trembling, not from fear, but from presence. I felt the atmosphere shift. My room felt alive. I fell to my knees and whispered, Jesus. It wasn't a formal prayer, just his name. And he came, not in thunder or lightning, but in peace. A warmth filled my chest. I began to weep uncontrollably, confessing every secret, every shame, every moment I had hidden. It felt like light invading darkness. Every memory that used to torment me was washed clean by his mercy. I understood then that freedom wasn't about trying harder. It was about surrendering deeper. I heard in my spirit, my grace is sufficient for you, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. 2 Corinthians 12:9. And I knew, truly knew, that I was free. When the fast ended, I wasn't the same man. The old desires tried to whisper again, but now I had a different voice inside me, stronger, calmer, anchored in truth. I didn't just overcome an addiction, I discovered new identity. I learned that purity is not perfection, it's alignment with purpose. God gave me back my mind, my focus, and my peace. My academics improved. My creativity returned. I started to see people not as objects, but as souls. And in the mirror, I saw man alive again. Now when I speak from scars that healed, not wounds that still bleed. I tell others, pornography and masturbation don't just steal your time, they steal your destiny. They numb your purpose, silence your spirit, and separate you from the source of life. But Christ restores. There is no pit so deep that grace cannot reach it. I once was dead, but now I live. I once was bound, but now I'm free, not by might nor by willpower, but by the Spirit of the living God. Today, I walk with a new attitude, humble, watchful, and grateful. My testimony is simple. Sin killed me, but grace resurrected me. If you're reading this and fighting the same battle, I want you to know you are not alone. Shame isolates, but confession heals. You don't have to remain in darkness. The light of Christ is stronger than any chain. Start small, pray honestly, fast if you must. Speak to someone who will walk with you, but above all, surrender completely. Freedom is not a destination, it's a daily decision to stay close to the light. And remember this truth that saved me: you were bought at a price. Therefore, glorify God in your body and in your spirit, which are God's. 1 Corinthians 6:20. I died once, but now I live not by desire, not by discipline alone, but by grace.